Welcome to SNN Sports Rugby Voices podcast. My name's Stephen, joined by Glyn and guest Tim today from Ayr Rugby, as well as one of the coaches for Hill Head's Jordan Hill women's team. So we've got quite a lot to cover today. First thing we're going to jump into is just the Glasgow Warriors game, Glasgow versus Dragons. Obviously 49-0 win, big win for the Warriors. What was your kind of thoughts, any kind of big takes from it that you are thinking about just now?
I think in the first half, Glasgow, it was very much a game of two halves for me. I think the first half, I think we struggled to get into the game. There was a few handling errors, a few issues. I don't know if it was a confidence thing, but it did feel very much like the game against Benetton, where the game for me could have went either way by half time. Obviously Glasgow came into their own in the second half. They turned the screw, they got the points, but to start off, it did feel a bit sort of stuttery to start.
Do you think that better team might take a bit more advantage of that slow start? Because not to be harsh on Dragons, but they're not very good.
No, I think there was times in the games for the Dragons where they were sort of getting in behind Glasgow and then just not making the most of that.
Yeah.
When they might have had like a line break or good phases and good build-up play, but just couldn't sort of finish it off, or they get a penalty or concede a penalty and not convert those chances in a way. Glasgow 21-0 up at half time.
I think it was 14-0.
14. So yeah. So it's still there for Dragons if they wanted it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like the chances that they had in the first half. Okay, it was maybe one forced pass, or it was a knock on here, or one of those sort of decisions that just didn't go your way that kills the momentum. But based on that, again, I think they took a 14-point lead going into half time against Benetton, and they got turned over. So looking at your point, Stephen, better teams are going to score against them. All right, Glasgow's defence, you're always going to maybe back Glasgow's defence, but better teams are going to score, and if they have those chances, they need to build a bigger lead, I think, going into half time. Yeah.
I mean, it's that way. I think there's a lot of positives in it. I mean, nailing any team at top level's class. I know Dragons did cross the line with a forward pass, but even 49-7's a pretty good score line at that.
And I felt bad for them, because that try that was disallowed, I had sympathy, because that would have been one of the tries of the tournament. The passing, it going from one end of the field to the other. It was the right decision, but I did feel bad.
A bit tough on them. Just what do you guys think of the whole kind of, not to batter on about Welsh rugby and the state of it, but it seems pretty grim with the club's kind of state just now. I mean, Dragons, I think there's 16 losses now. Last win against Newcastle in the Challenge Cup last year, and I think they've had one or two wins in total in like 20 odd games. I know the other teams they're still kind of mid to bottom, picking up like 8 or 9 wins here and there. But is that, do you think Wales need to look at dropping down 2 teams? Is it actually benefiting them having like a Dragons, and when they're getting absolutely destroyed each week?
It's an interesting question, and is it a case, are their resources and quality players spread too thin? But then again, you want as many players playing that level of rugby.
Yeah. But there's always going to be. I mean, look at Ireland. I mean, Leinster are criticised basically turning around and saying, it's an Irish club team. Everything's funneled into Leinster now. Granted, they've had the success, but I mean, for the longest time, has Connacht been the sort of the Dragons are like Ireland, and because they've not had great success. I watched the Cardiff Connacht game at the weekend, and it wasn't great rugby, but I go as far to say that the Cardiff defence was what won the game for them. And obviously they had the breakaway try, I think it was in 60, 72 minutes or something like that. They had a breakaway try to sort of seal the game. But, I mean, they put everything on the line. Connacht was going for them. and they held them out. There was a good few chances that they could have scored to turn them over, but I think the state of Welsh rugby, maybe not for me, maybe not dropping down to 2 teams. I would say there has to be a compromise and maybe at least keep 3 teams.
Yeah, because you're right. Even if that Dragons team end up with a squad of 25, 30 lads that aren't capped, they're still creating that depth there. Because that's something we don't have. Like with just Glasgow and Edinburgh, we need our lads kind of going away and getting games there, bring more through. And you also want the Welsh teams, I think, competitive. Like a 49-0 win. Like we talk about in junior rugby, like there's no competitive in there. Yeah, in the top level, you're like, that's a win, that's class, let's move on. But if we think that bigger picture for Scotland and the league as a whole, like if we want Scotland to start competing, Wales to start competing, it's going to make our game better. We probably need a competition where there's less big.
What I would say, I follow Welsh rugby quite a lot because I've got family down there, but it's comparable to Scotland. The big problem you've got in Wales is the sort of tribalism of the fan base, and they don't want to amalgamate, they don't want to cut because they've all got their unique ties. And the thing is, if you look at the demographic of the fan base as well, it's very important. And I'm trying to relate this back to, Scotland and the SRU, because for the longest time people are saying, well, you've got 2 main teams, you've got the East and West, you've got Edinburgh, you've got Glasgow. But, talking about, was it the Celtic Warriors, or what was that team for the Borders?
Border
Beavers, sorry, yeah. Like you've got the Border Beavers, then you've got all that untapped fan base in the north of Scotland as well. So the Welsh Rugby Union and the Scottish Rugby Union need to think about their fan base, and then they've got to think, by cutting those ties, is it ultimately going to affect business? Will fans still travel to support the national team if their players aren't seen to be getting picked or selected or playing at the highest level? I don't know, but
I think the national team will always be supported, and if they're doing well, Wales is different in the sense Scotland's probably just too small for 4 teams, even 3 teams, that it makes sense it's Glasgow and Edinburgh that you look at putting a squad, whereas Wales, rugby's everything they want to do. Now I think football is creeping up now again and kind of pushing rugby, but it's probably the pro teams might look unhealthy, but that level below that in Wales, that Welsh Premier, has probably got class fans going real, and you want to look at is there a way to lift that and elevate that, or does that just have to stay that separate way? There's not that kind of funding there, but yeah, hopefully they start to improve. One thing, just going back to the Glasgow game, looking at Glasgow, I thought Stain looked like he was starting to find his best again. I think he saw it a wee bit
outstanding
game 1, but I think he's very much a confidence player. When he's full of confidence,
I'm sure he busted through, what was it, a tackle. There was 2 boys on him and they managed to find the gap right through the middle of them. So strong.
Yeah.
Such
deceptively strong.
Yeah.
Everybody says that about him for his appearance, for his position.
Yeah.
I think the commentators during the game actually spoke about that. He's so hard to bring down, and if you don't stop him within the first 5 metres, they've seen four players hanging off him to try and bring him down.
And he's class at finding that small gap as well. Like you saw with the kind of first score, just taking that inside line, the acceleration he's just straight through. So it's good. It'll be interesting to see what the wins will look like for Scotland.
Big shout out to Johnny Matthews, but Centurion, 49 tries for a hooker. Nice. That is an impressive statistic.
He's another one you wonder if we'll see a wee bit more in the autumn.
But is it going to be a case of not to harp on about it, because I know people are like, well, he's had his chance, he doesn't seem to fit in, but is it a case of, I don't know, I just don't know, will they give him the chance, will they give him the time? I don't think it's enough to say, give him 1 game, and then if he doesn't perform in that 20 minutes, that 40 minutes, then they just cut him. I just don't know if he fits in with the current managerial sort of set up a vision of what
maybe.
Scotland wants to be.
It's his age profile as well.
Yeah.
He's 30, in his 30s.
Yeah, so it's probably that looking to the next cycle. But if he's class now, like, do we have? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Just
George
getting
Turner back in the Prem as well, so he'll
Yeah.
be available. And
it does make it. I mean, it's good to have, because you then wonder, well, these boys must put a shift in. It's keeping somebody like him that, from the kind of surface level looking into the league, you're
I
like,
think they
why is he not
criticised.
there?
I think he criticised. His throwing's being criticised. Is it? I think he's just.
yeah, it was set piece.
Yeah, set piece,
Lets him down.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's quite important for Hooker, but you know, it's like for Glasgow, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
For the majority of things, so it's it's up to the national coaches. They probably know more than us.
Well, that's it. Yeah. What's our thoughts on Dan Lancaster? Yeah, that kind of kick at the end was.
I thought
decent.
he had that kick. It was outstanding. He pinged it right into the corner. It was like landing on a postage stamp. It was like
He's got a really. I kind of went and looked at. He's got an interesting kind of career.
Yeah, he
so
does.
far.
He does. Yeah, was it Ealing as well?
Yeah,
Leicester.
so he had he was at Leeds. He then had Leicester. I think he went in on loan to Nottingham, went to Ealing, Racing 92, and then Warriors. But he also had Scotland under 18s, and then England under 20s. Because he's Stuart Lancaster's son as well.
Did they change
it? Realise?
Did they change the laws on that? I always assumed that if you
Unders is different. Unders is different. It's once you're captain, then it's what now? 5 years standing, and you can.
I want to make a point on that. We were talking earlier on about Scotland and their success rate and what it is, but Scotland are still the highest nation in the Six Nations with players that are not born and bred in Scotland.
Yeah, well, that's
the highest percentage of players.
It's down to the playing pool of Scotland, unfortunately. How many guys are big enough genetically to play?
I get it, but I'm playing devil's advocate, right?
So I think a way to look at it, because if you look at Scotland, if we don't bring these players in, we're going to massively struggle on the international stage, which means there's less bums on seats, there's less sponsorship deals, which means there's less money that then goes back into the grassroots. And I know Scottish Rugby, people love to say they're not supporting the grassroots, but there's a ton of money they do put into it, they support it. If they don't have that money, that will then suffer. So I think, and I don't know if they're doing it this way or not, but I think if you look at it, if this is a short-term solution of bringing these class players over that they might not have grew up playing rugby in Scotland, but they can come perform at a national level, in theory then does that create more opportunities below to create better players that are from Scotland? Now, that's a long process, and some might argue, well, when's it going to start happening? But I think you've got to look at it as, for me, do you want to be looking at a 100% Scottish team that people are like, yeah, they're all born and bred here, when actually you speak to any of those lads, they have a massive connection and to want to play for Scotland.
I'm not.
So I think it works too. I think we need to compete at the top, and we have to compete. Otherwise, we don't get that money.
I'm not for 1 minute saying that the boys that pull on the Scotland jersey at an international level don't feel something, that they're not passionate and they don't give everything, because they do. You can quite clearly see it. But I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to look at somebody like at your level, your point of view, Tim, right, who gets to a certain level, knocks his pan in, week out, is striving to be the best that he can. You get to a team like, say you get to a team like Glasgow or Edinburgh, right, and again you've sacrificed so much, but then the SRU parachute in somebody like Sione Tuipulotu or whoever it may be,
sport.
you know what I mean, and then you're like, well, what am I doing? Why am I sitting? You know what I mean? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, no, I see your point, and it's again, in a way, it comes back to Stephen's point. It's professional sport, but it's also performance. So, these teams have to win to
All I'm saying is,
the game.
all I'm trying to say is I appreciate it, that it's professional sport, it's a business. They've got to keep the fans happy. But I suppose on the flip side, it would be nice to see what they're doing to promote and encourage and develop homegrown players, because to me, all it's saying to me is that the pathway is not working.
Right. Well, I'd argue that Franco Smith and sort of his coaching group are really, really good at bringing young boys in. Look at Gregor Brown, Ewan Ferry, Ben Afshar, Dan Lancaster's got under 18s. There's a bit of youth there. You can look in the pre-season games at guys like Fergus Watson, Matthew Irwin. Again, Max Willis and Alex Samuel. I played with both of them through the age grade, and now they're kicking on. So it
does work.
It does. But like in like during international windows, when all these other players are away, you need all the guys. What's his face that just left last year? Like your what's the big South African second row that was here last year? No. So like those guys, maybe are from South Africa, a bit older, a bit more experienced.
Oh, Venter.
Dupree's as well.
Yeah, okay.
Those guys that can help bring on the younger kids, because chucking like 21-year-olds into that environment, professional environment where it's tough, it's attritional, where the fine details matter, they'll struggle. So you need someone in there, maybe from another country.
Yeah.
To like sort of mentor them, bring them through.
Yeah.
Especially when they're international. So.
And I was going to say, especially when we are probably actively, as much as we'd love to have Glasgow and Edinburgh full of our test players, we're actively pushing them because we need to create that new space. So it's a massive loss when you see a Scotland player leave Glasgow or Edinburgh, go to France or to England, but that then opens a door for another younger player. And I think as long as that door's being plugged by youth and that balance, I think it's fine. Nice. Right, we'll jump on now. We're going to kind of look a wee bit at the Scottish Premiership with the men and the women's side. You're obviously involved in both, Tim. So from a playing point of view with Ayr just now, how's the season going? Is there any kind of roundup? What's your kind of thoughts?
So far so good for us in terms of results. From a performance perspective, probably not as performing as well as we'd like. Maybe for the first 4 or 5 games. We had a cancellation last week, and I thought probably played one half, maybe for 45 minutes of good rugby against GHA, and sort of took the foot off the gas a bit. So we're trying to still look for that full 80 minutes performance where we're fully sort of dialed in, and because we are winning quite comfortably, but can we do better? Because that's what we strive for in training.
Second in the Premiership.
Curry. So Curry just lost to Hoyk just there. So it's a good season for us so far. And we want to win it. It's what the club wants to do and what everyone in that squad wants to do. It's just making sure we're sort of setting our own standards, our own goals, and trying to achieve them every game. And we haven't. So far, although the results have been good, but it's just one of those just taking away. And
how's the women getting on? They are women, are they not doing quite well?
Yeah, they're I think mid-table in the West One League.
West One,
yeah. So they picked up a good result against Greenock last week, and they picked up a good result against Stuart Tree a few weeks before, but then had a bad result against West.
Yep, West done pretty well against them.
So mixed season for them. But it's for the men, pretty pleased, and hopefully we can keep up this momentum and hopefully do the double this year.
Who have you got next?
Kelsall.
With doing the double, because the Scottish Cup was a bit funny last year, wasn't it?
Were
you in it, or what kind of happened?
No, that was sort of our twos team.
Yeah.
So we, with the Super 6 merging, and we had like a 12-team league. We had 24 games in the regular season, and then on top of cup games, that's quite a lot for the boys.
Right,
so,
okay.
We entered our seconds in, and then they got knocked out to Dundee, I believe.
Yeah.
in the earlier rounds. So yeah, never really got a decent run. So it'll be good to actually have a good proper run at it this year with the reduced league size, and we've got Hawks first on Halloween. That'll be Friday night. That'll be good.
Nice.
Under the lights.
And the lights at home. So yeah, got that to look forward to. But then, like the club wants to win silverware. I want to win silverware.
Yeah.
That's
That's what you play for.
She said the double. Would you take the cup or the league?
both.
If you had to pick.
I've never won the Scottish Cup, so we won the league last year.
Yeah.
And I've never played on Murrayfield, so that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, fair.
But hopefully
Every little boy's dream, isn't it?
That doubles that's the goal. I like that.
It's sort of in our sort of history as a club. I think 2019, Ayr won the league, and then Fraser Climo slots the last minute conversion or penalty to win at Murrayfield, so double there. So it's sort of in our in our history to it's just that's what we want to do as a team, as a club, win silverware and celebrate that and just keep that momentum going and just sort of being around each other as well. It's a really good environment.
Nice. And you kind of mentioned that transition from Super 6, how, because you played Super 6 and you won Super 6 as well.
Yeah.
What was harder to win, would you say, just now? Like, what's that change? Like, as Super 6, was that really difficult to win compared to the Prem? Or was it because it was short, sharp, maybe less room for error? Or
Short, sharp, so it was that. The teams, I'd say, were probably a bit more attritional. They'd all play sort of in a similar way.
Yeah, okay.
Watson's, Heriots, and your Sterling's quite similar. Quite physical packs, good backlines, good kicking game, good maul. So everyone had sort of a similar style, and that's sort of different now. So teams like UGHA, even though Melrose, how they play now, Curry, like a wide game. Maybe looking at the sort of forwards game a bit less, just sort of like love to run it out. So there's that difference. The season length, so Super 6 nice and short. The sprint you'd play each team once, and then you go into playoffs. Whereas now you're playing every team twice over winter. Where you might get cancellations. There's disruption. There's it's wet. It's cold.
Yes.
You're going down to Hoyk. Stuff like that. In a way, it's much more different in that sense. And I enjoyed it last year. I played in the Prem before, with Hawks before I went to Super 6. But I only got like half the season there.
Yeah, okay.
So I never really got to fully experience that. So last year it was good, and it was good change. The training intensity, the number of times we train on pitch is reduced. So just twice a week. And it was 3.
Yeah.
Which in a way it's better and worse, because you get more time to rest, but you get less time on task, on pitch. So you might not have as much time looking at your scrum more.
Yeah, so that kind of finer details maybe brushed over a bit. Kind of trusting players to police that themselves.
It's not that as well. Those sort of things that you touched on, I think unless you're a forward, a lot of players don't appreciate just how technical.
A lot. Even as a flanker, and you see what the detail going on in the scrum sessions and that, just
to get that extra 1%,
that extra 1%, that extra detail to make sure we're getting dominance and in the maul, like everyone's role, everyone needs to know their role, do it correctly, get the body position right, your height, all these different tiny intricacies can make a massive difference. And we're quite lucky because we've retained a lot of boys, so a lot of that stuff's sort of familiar, and it's just a case of let's make sure we're doing it when it comes to a Saturday. Very, very fortunate in that sense, and and again it's similar to the backs as well. They might not get as much time running certain moves or be in different positions in sort of open play attack, or kicking. So it's a bit different in that sense. and there's less time to maybe do a video analysis session or other things.
Pull it together a bit
Yeah,
more, whereas
yeah.
you had those.
Yeah, a bit more
those
time,
times,
and like in a way it's good because I've had more time to go to the gym, do different things like that, and look after my body a bit more. So I'm sure that some of the older guys will appreciate a one less training session.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And as well as playing in the Prem with Ayr, you're coaching Hills now, and it's not. We obviously coach together at Glasgow Uni, but what's how is their season going at Hills, and also what's that change like from having that player kind of cap on to taking that off and putting that coach's cap?
So the season for Hills has been a bit, had its probably more downs and ups. So we started quite well. We had Geary and Bigger, Carther, so they were good results, and we had a dip against Heriots, and that was probably a game we shouldn't have lost, but it was one of those days where the girls just it was a shame because they just didn't click that day.
Okay.
And going away to Heriots is always tough, you know. It's you can't just go there and expect to win, and so that sort of put us on the back foot, and then we had Watsons and Cougars just there losing by a point. So a game of fine margins. You need to make sure you're getting the detail right and getting that sort of top 2% right, so you can get over the line in those 1 point games. And as a result, they're in the bottom four, which as a club, and as a squad, they don't deserve to be there. I feel. Well, I can say that as a coach, but they're much better than maybe what they have performed as this year, and losing out by a couple points, and flip it on its head. If we got over the line, we'd be second in the table. So it's it's one of those where if we beat Watsons and Cougars by a point, we'd be up there with Stirling.
That top half and changing the story.
That's tough.
It's tough. But what it means now is we can just, as a league split, we can just sort of focus on ourselves, and hopefully, when the cup begins, we can really go at that. We want to just sort of focus on ourselves to maintain that high level, where we'll be playing against teams like Carther, Bigger, and Geary, where they're not as probably strong as us, as the results have shown. But it's a good opportunity for Hills to go through their sort of attacking systems, sort of your set piece, and making sure they're right, and we're not dropping down a level, instead of just showing the league we actually belong at the top end. And that was just an off day against Heriots, an off day against Watsons. And your second question, how does it feel to go from a player to a coach, and how I flip between that? I do enjoy it, and it's I've been coached by Kenny Murray, Pete Horn, Pat MacArthur, Fraser Climo, Grant Anderson now, so some of the best coaches in the country, and it's just class to pick up different things off them and being able to pass it on. And it's I'm just thinking rugby all throughout my week it feels, but I enjoy it, and it's I like sort of giving back in that way, because the game's given me so much. So if I could make a team better, or help a player improve, then I'm happy.
I think rugby's always been really good at that, though. I think that's always been part of, goes with the values. It's always about bringing on the next generation, helping somebody to develop. I think that's something that we do really well as a rugby sort of family.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just nice, and both Ayr and Hills, both really good sort of community clubs, and really good environment, and it's just really good to be a part of.
Class.
So I'm happy. So it's quite easy for me to chop and change, and obviously if playing at different levels at Scotland 20, Super 6, sort of I've got a pretty good understanding of the game and sort of the detail around sort of where it's breakdown, scrum line outs, just from hearing different things from different people and seeing it as well. So and it just allows me to sort of pass that on, and it in a way helps me play from a playing perspective as well, because I can think on the pitch right, what would a coach say, what would I say if I was standing at the touchline?
Fair. So it's almost pushing your kind of playing side up.
Yeah. So it's like certain details, whether it's a breakdown defensively, tackle selection, or
a lot of players struggle with that though. I mean, similar but different. When you give someone the captaincy, they often find that their playing side goes down because they're too focused on
all the kind of externals.
Yeah, like what does the captain need to say now? We're chasing the game, blah blah blah. Yeah. So they lose focus in their own game.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's similar but different.
Yeah, no, it is a bit. But in a way, it's good just to be able to, on the pitch, take a step back. And it's like, okay, what do we need here?
You look at it through a different lens.
Yeah, and it's good. Well, you get messages from the coaches as is, but you're there on the pitch in the moment, and it's like we can always watch a video back and things, but it's good to think positionally on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
Where are you in the defensive line? Where are you in attack? Can I be deeper? Can I run this line better?
Yeah.
You can do that sort of in the moment, which is benefits myself and the team. So yeah, in a way, it helps both ways, which is quite good.
Class.
Yeah. And it also just helps. It's just with your sort of your everyday life, because you're coaching people.
Yeah.
You're communicating, your ideas and your sort of maybe different bits of detail that someone might not be familiar with. So it's like being able to break things down and deliver it in a way that they can understand, and they can just sort of remember that as well.
Yeah.
So they don't forget it.
Yeah.
Impact's a bit greater as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's good. Coaching is good not just for playing but other parts of life. So yeah, it's beneficial that way.
Good.
Right, so going to do our guess the player quiz. So I'm going to show you clubs that this player's played for. You can have a look. If you guess it straight away, you maybe hold it if it's within the first two, because you might be class at it. But it's essentially who can guess it in the least amount of clubs. So first one is Glasgow Rugby, 1996 to 1999.
Chris Patterson.
Yeah. Excellent. I done this test with someone else and they couldn't get it, and I was like, I feel the Gala would have been.
No,
I wouldn't have got it in Gala. No.
Well, was he Watson's? Oh, Warriors.
Yeah, I never knew that. He got two games, and it probably would have been Glasgow District back then.
Yeah.
And then Edinburgh was his first stint.
Yeah.
He then done that, obviously Scotland cap.
Yeah.
And then he seasoned down in
Gloucester.
I
didn't know he
Gloucester.
played for Gloucester.
He done a season. He actually done. I mean, I think it was like 16 games, because I remember watching him. He went down. It was actually solid. And then
I'm very
Edinburgh
impressed with myself.
Literally, I'm going to have to make them harder. Those is way harder. And this was the hard one, by the way. So the easy one, I kind of almost want to say that you've done it and you've got to beat one now. So yeah, Chris Patterson, well done. Right, first one.
Who even is that?
So that is Cape Town University. I'm sure it's Cape Town University. I'm now totally double guess myself. University in South Africa. I'll need to double check if it was Cape Town. Western Province.
Could be anyone.
Stormers, which
Could
is
be any South African.
that natural step. Yeah.
Could be any.
Which I know none.
Scotland cap, shock. South Africa, Scotland.
Wouldn't be Schoon.
Nah, not Schoon.
Because he's.
Then to Warriors.
Ollie Cable?
Nah.
No.
Hugh Jones.
Hugh Jones, yeah, nice. Do you know where he went after Warriors?
Quins.
Yeah, so he went Quins, back to Warriors, and then more recently, British and Irish Lion.
Yeah.
Nailed it, gents.
Well, he did.
I know. Week one, and you're nailing the quiz. So I'll need to make.
It's just me. I know, like.
No, it's fine. Next time you're on, I'm going to find the most
obscure player.
Sweet. Well, Dan, cheers for coming on again.
Thank you.
It's good to chat, Prem. We'll obviously get you on again soon. We'll be back next time. We're going to do a wee bit of a kind of preview on the Autumn Internationals coming up. We can have a chat about maybe that first Scotland squad and also how we think Scotland will get on with the games. But make sure to follow us on SNN Sports and SNN Sports Rugby. And if you've got anything you want us to talk about, pop them in the comments, let us know. But yeah, thank you.